is Ralph Engle. I was an AQ-2. We were deployed on the USS America. I was on board from 72 to 75. Attached to VA 86. My first deployment was Westpac over Vietnam, and I was due to get married. And we weren't supposed to be going on Westpac. We were supposed to be going to the Med. And arrangements had been made for me to go home, get married, and I was going to fly military airlift over to France, where I was going to meet the ship 30 days later. But about a week before the wedding and before we were ready to deploy, they said, "You're not going to the Med, you're going to Vietnam." So I flew home on a Friday evening, got married Saturday. Sunday, my wife and I flew down to Norfolk, and Monday morning I got on the ship and left. Now, 6 months later, we had R&R in Hong Kong, and my wife came over to Hong Kong. So we spent 10 days together there in Hong Kong. But I think Hong Kong, with my wife being there, was probably my favorite port. We did a lot of sightseeing, and whatever we could do, we did it together. Liberty calls were nice, seeing all the different places of the world. To me, I was fortunate because I worked what was flight ops. It was busy because I worked while the aircraft were flying, and launching, recovering, fixing them between flights, and it kept you busy. And basically, someday, I wish I could say basically, some days we would fly 12 hours, 16 hours, and you worked that entire time. And then you may only have 8 hours off, and then you'd come back the next day and start all over again. We used to align the navigation system. We would power the planes up before the pilots got in them. And they wanted to have their systems ready to go, and that was part of our job, getting the navigation system. It took about 20 minutes to align it, but I really enjoyed the sea, going to sea and stuff. We made a med cruise later, and I think our weapons shop, integrated weapons team, we lost no flights due to our shop the entire cruise, which was, I guess, something made me proud being part of it. We had 4 carriers when the peace treaty was signed over Vietnam, and they had a picture of the entire task force with the 4 carriers, and I think that was possibly the only time they had 4 carriers in that same close proximity all at one time. They gave everybody a paper copy of the thing that they took. We were basically banned from being on any of the open decks because they didn't want any people in the picture. They just wanted the ships, the destroyers, all of our support for all the carriers all in one picture. And I maybe would have stayed in longer, but I almost put 4.5 years of my 7 years was at sea. And I had the 2 years at Pax River shore duty, and if I would have re-enlisted, I was going back to sea for another 4 or 5 years. And I had a new daughter, and I just decided to get out then and there. However, I ended up working for the Navy for a total of 35 years as a civilian after I got out of the Navy up in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.